Hello, and welcome to another episode of In My Experience with yours truly, Christine DeGinto. This podcast is a space where I speak from lived experience. The moments that shaped me, challenged me, and changed the way that I understand myself in the world. The awakenings, the breakdowns, the moments that cracked me open, asked me to stay present, be embodied, and be honest with myself. I share my stories not to persuade or define truth for anyone else, but to offer perspective, to explore the gray areas we don't often have language for, to slow things down and listen more closely to what's happening beneath the surface. You'll hear solo episodes where I reflect on my own initiations, spiritual gifts, and the systems that tried to define me. And conversations with guests who have walked strange, beautiful, and sometimes painful paths of their own and come back with wisdom to share with us. I invite you to take what resonates, leave the rest, and trust your own experience as valid. Thank you for being here. This is In My Experience. Hello and welcome. This is part 2 of my conversation with Chrys Kyng. In this episode, we move deeper into sovereignty, integrity, and the responsibility that comes with stepping into roles of healing and leadership. We do not have to be perfect. It's okay to be messy. Sometimes that messiness is exactly what someone else needs. We talk about symbols, belief systems, cultural narratives, and the importance of continually reassessing what no longer feels aligned. This conversation is not about certainty. It's about curiosity, growth, and staying in right relationship with your own truth as it evolves. All right, let's head in. It's interesting. As you were talking, I started to remember a realization that I had in my last journey with you about shamans back when you were talking about how some shamans or people who want to become shamans or healers, it's all like ego based, but they don't realize that yet. I was remembering when you were describing that there was a very sought after shaman in South America, and the
Yes.
rival shamans were trying to
So
sabotage
is
her.
it okay that I share so that people
Sure.
can
Yeah.
refer to this?
Hmm.
So this is from a documentary called She is a Shaman on Gaia. Okay. Gaia is infiltrated.
Hmm.
Okay. Knights, Templars, Freemasons, modern mystery school. There's so much BS on Gaia. Okay. Let's just be very clear. Hey, this is my perspective on what I think is bullshit, right? Not what is the truth. But for me, there's a lot on there that I want you all to be mindful of. But I saw this documentary and I thought, okay, let me watch it. It's obvious it's about ayahuasca. It's about a shaman who is part of the Shipibo tribe, which is the tribe that brought ayahuasca to the world stage and uses it in ceremony in the Amazon. And I thought, let me watch this. This is interesting from a female shaman's perspective that was new. Okay. And she barely spoke to the camera or at all the whole time. It was very haunting, sort of sullen documentary. And I remember so many aspects of it thinking, this is so interesting. She has her husband, she's like 50 years old. Her husband's like 22. And he's not perfect. She was in an abusive relationship. Um, they're using the way they live their life is very human in many ways. You could tell sometimes she just wasn't in the mood for the camera. She wasn't always in the mood to do the ceremony. She knew that she was going to have to do this ceremony for all these white people just to make money, but also that she was going to have to feel all their pain and their trauma and their thoughts for many days or a week after. She has to go through things, and it was all about that. And
Hmm.
never once did she complain, but you could see how human she was. Okay, in
Hmm.
that this is my thing I have to go through. And and how different she was when she wasn't in ceremony too. She was a mom. She was a partner. She was someone who went out on the land and cut the cappy vine down, which is awesome. But she is a person. She is a human, and she shared that she and her co-facilitators, her co-shamans, had to do so much energy clearing and protection work around this space because the neighboring shamans, the male shamans in the Shipibo tribe, were very jealous of her and did not like that a female was doing that. And I remember thinking, interesting, because I've had so many people say to me, how dare you try to hold cacao? You're not Peruvian or Mexican. How dare you try to hold Blue Lotus? You're not Egyptian. And I'm like, no one who was Egyptian then technically is Egyptian now, right? But it's with ayahuasca, how dare you try to bring this medicine or talk about this medicine in any way? You're not a Shipibo person. As if the Shipibo own that plant,
Mm-hmm.
as if it
Mm-hmm.
only grows there and it belongs to them. They are the keepers of this plant and they have shared it with the world. And many of them are doing it just for money. She's doing it just for money. That's the only reason her facility is open. She has zero, and you can see it in the documentary, zero attachment to whether they heal, love it, or not. It is simply for money.
Yeah.
So, what I had to say to myself is even the Shipibo shamans, the one we put on a pedestal as the keepers of ayahuasca and the only ones you should trust with this medicine, are sending dark energy avatars into her space because they're
Yeah.
jealous and want to sabotage her. And
Yeah.
even she is only doing it for money. They're the
Mm-hmm.
people that help her, the people clearing the energy with the smoke, have never drank ayahuasca.
Wow.
So many things that we hold us in the modern world hold ourselves to, especially with all this cultural appropriation and you're not doing this and you need to do this. Shamans are very human people. They really
Mm-hmm.
usually are the embodiment of both darkness and light.
Well, that's one thing that I realized during the journey after you described all of this about her and considering that, because I believe I'm also a shaman. I don't like to use that term. I feel like people are going to say something about appropriation, but
So,
I do
do
think
you
that,
not like to use that term? I'm so sorry to interrupt, but do you not like to use that term because of what people are going to say, or but
yeah, it's
because
because of
that
other
word
people.
does
Yeah,
interesting
because
that you won't
because
even
other
claim an
people not
archetype?
understanding. Yeah, that's what I
I
feel
get
like
it.
they would like not
I get
understand
it.
what
So,
that means.
what word are we supposed to use? Chiron, right? Should we just
Yeah.
say chironic healer or I'm a chiron instead of a shaman? It's the same exact thing,
Yeah. I think
but
it's the same thing.
it is the same thing.
Yeah.
When a Celtic shaman says I am a shaman, they're appropriating a Venki Siberian culture.
Yeah.
Technically, if we want to go into that and play by the cultural appropriation cancel culture rules,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Native American shamans, they don't call themselves shaman. That is a Siberian, that is a word that comes from the Evenki people in Siberia. Okay.
Hmm.
So if you're worried that people are not going to like that you use that word, you're worried, you're, I totally get it, which is why I call myself a shamanic healer. I want people to know that I'm proud that I do this type of work, but also
Hmm.
that I honor that I am a healer who is doing it shamanically rather than
Yes.
claiming to be a Native American or Celtic shaman who lived in the woods for 30 years because people think
Yeah.
this is what a shaman is. And they don't
Yeah.
realize that shamans are being born everywhere all over the world to help with the ascension process. And many of us are being born in Harlem and Dallas and Sydney, Australia. Okay, it isn't
Hmm.
always in the Shipibo tribes. We're incarnating into places where we can have a much larger effect.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And
I
for the ley
believe it is
line.
okay for you to use that word,
Thank you. Yeah. And
but I also
I
honor that
do.
you don't if it doesn't feel aligned.
Yeah.
We could
I
also
do.
come up with our own word.
I use it in like I feel like in certain circumstances. I don't like only say that I'm a shamanic healer. I use lots of different terms. It depends on what I'm aiming for, like what we're talking about, like what, you know. whatever the subject is. But
Yeah.
in that journey, the realization that I had is along the lines of the types of shamans that pull physical pain into their body and release it, because I have not done this yet, but I do believe that I have that capability, and I think that
You do.
at some point I'm going to be doing
That's a
that.
part of your Chiron conjunct the ascendant. So there are many shamans out there that do not have Chiron conjunct the ascendant. But if you have Chiron conjunct the sun or the ascendant or the midheaven, you you have shaman energy in you. It's just encoded in there. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I also want everyone to realize that when you enter a shamanic container with a practitioner, like the woman in the documentary, it we become the vessel, the gauge, the
Mm-hmm.
reflector of
Mm-hmm.
what's happening. And also, it moves through us in our channel because the medicine will use us as a main drainage point, any healer there,
Mm-hmm.
to not only heal your stuff too, because she even says in the documentary, every time she does a ceremony, they also journey as well. They have to keep her energy coming in with their sacred songs, Ikaros. But the way in which the ceremony usually goes is even when we work with ayahuasca over here, and I usually don't take any medicine the way they say you should because I'm so sensitive to it that I can
Mm-hmm.
feel it in journey without having taken anything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be careful. But when we're working with ayahuasca, there are many times where everyone's in bed and I go to lie down and go to sleep for the night. And that's when all the vision starts. That's when all my own stuff starts. Because
Yeah.
these medicines are never going to look at you and go, you're more healed than they are. Absolutely
Yeah.
not. They're going to say,
It's
okay,
always
now
something to
let's
night.
focus on you.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
who doesn't want to keep journeying into themselves? Who doesn't want to keep refining? Who doesn't want to
Yeah.
keep seeing more aspects of yourself because you can't unexpand a consciousness? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Endlessly entertained, like we said earlier. It's like the most fun.
And then it becomes
Well,
fun. Yes.
so what I realized though, in my particular journey, in my set of circumstances, and I won't go into details about what I was considering, but I had the opportunity, and there's some outside person kept coming into my journey. My awareness was on this person, and I was actively trying to push it away. And then I started just openly saying, like, why is this happening? Because I keep trying to push it away, but it's just like still there. So then what I realized was it was a choice to take certain paths, not only behaviorally but also energetically. Like if I tried to take on this person as a client and process their emotional and physical pain through my body as a shaman, I could do that. But I could also just as powerfully not. I could choose not to take it into myself, but only reflect back to that person and hold their hand while they heal. And like it seemed to be the more powerful option. So then I started to like go on this tailspin of thinking about shamans as humans, like you said. And it's like, the ones who will take things on for you. And it's like, you know, separate from what other people do because their circumstances are different, just like I described. I had a set of circumstances and it was one way or the other. It's not always the case. There
Right.
could be an illness that they're trying to remove. That's cool. Like, I agree with that. But then I wondered, for the things that are like, in particular, my circumstances, this potential client, what is burdening them is not terminal illness or anything along those lines. It's something that they need to work through. And I think that it would empower them more if I just like reflected back to them instead of doing it for them. Doing it for them is not
So,
going to help them in
what
my situation.
and if you see it that way, if from that framework, it is not helpful. However, what's actually happening is the empath quality of the shaman or just being an empath will kick in. And what happens is the energy is able to move, let's just say the water that is now rushing out is able to move through two different pipe channels rather than
Mhm.
one. So it
Mhm.
isn't that we take anything. Empaths never take anything from someone else. We mirror it back through our mirror neurons, but also there is an energetic component with the aura where the aura will actually mirror that back as well. But you have to understand that there are times where I have felt pain in my ovaries and they're not there. Okay. So I am
Mhm.
not taking
Mhm.
anything. I am feeling the pain with them, which helps it to remove quicker,
Yes.
faster, more efficiently. And
Yes.
like when I'm getting downloads, I come to my assistant and I put my hand on her, not only so
Okay.
she can hear what's coming through, but so that energetically, like electrically, I can ground it in more.
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes a lot of sense.
So I am never taking anything. Back in high school, early adult life, if someone had a headache, I had a headache. And
Yeah.
when I said to them, "Hey, do you have a headache right now?" I do. And I said, "Is it right here?" And they're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, it's right there." Mine would go away. But
Interesting.
only if I gave it back to them, was how I
Uh-huh.
used to see it back then. I had to
Uh-huh.
give it back to them. Basically, what that meant was I had to acknowledge it to
Acknowledge it.
release it. So it
Yeah.
wasn't in me, it wasn't my headache. But you have to
Mhm.
understand that many of our clients' traumas will mirror
Mhm.
traumas we've already worked through, or still
Mhm.
ones that we're still refining or are working through as well.
Mhm.
Sometimes we attract clients who need our guidance, but they're actually more evolved than we are in certain ways. Okay.
Mhm.
But we're
Mhm.
more open in the ways that they need to be of service to them at the time. So
Yeah.
the shaman, the practitioner is never the more healed one. The more it's usually just the braver one or the one who has said, I'm going to make my entire life around this.
Yeah.
Okay. It isn't
Yeah.
always that I'm better, more evolved, or more anything. It just,
Just more
this is my
dedicated.
passion.
Yeah.
I also want to say that there are people out there who want to step into this work, who want to do shamanic work, but won't because they're afraid of what people will say. They're afraid of this, what that means about them. And I just want to say to people that it is it is really okay that you start now, not being perfect, and that 10 years from now you have a successful business, you're tapped out of the matrix so much, or as much as you can be, but also that you're really serving from this beautiful place and your experience of being a practitioner was your greatest training and education.
Yeah.
And that spirit, your higher self, your guides will continue to train you as you see clients. So, no, you are not the most amazing healer yet that they could see possibly. Or maybe you just don't have a lot of experience doing sessions, but actually you've been doing healing work your entire life just by laying your hands on people and not realizing
Yeah.
it. And it's time to be paid for it. It's time to give all of that to the world, especially if you feel passionate about it. There are people who don't want to do this work, but for myself, I enjoy it so much and I'm so passionate about it that it is my honor to take those things on, but it is
Mhm.
also my duty to keep checking in with myself and constantly evaluating self and where my integrity is and how other people are feeling in my energy. I have to do that because for me to continue doing this work, if I become aware of a crack in the foundation, I will go down there with my cement bucket and
Yeah.
fill in that crack. Once I
Yes.
realize it's there or I feel something crumbling, I will tend to it because this is the only temple I want to exist in.
Yeah.
Okay, it plain and simple. Some of you want to be singers, some of you want to be mommies, some of you want to be a doctor. Some of us want to be healers and medicine keepers and psychics and channels and space holders. We're passionate about it. And I have been to hairstylists that were okay. I've been to some that were not good, and I've been to some that I was like, this is the best haircut I've ever had. They all three of them were passionate about it though.
Yeah.
And so maybe the other two, it was either a bad day or they're on their way to becoming the hairstylist that I would consider to be incredible. So we're going to hold space for everybody where they are. And not
Mhm.
every healer is the same. And not, we hold healers, spiritual people, shamans, priests to such high standards.
Yeah.
And, but we don't even hold ourselves to those things. But we
Yeah.
we
But
feel,
we
well, if
should.
you're going to step into this role, you have to be perfect and completely connected, or there's no reason for us to follow you. Oh, that's why. That's why you all placed me on a pedestal and why I fell from grace in your eyes, because you wanted someone to follow. And that is not my code. To the
Yeah.
people who called me a cult leader, I am. I am the most incredible cult leader in this cult. Everyone's free to leave.
Yes. It's
So
so
I
funny.
just
I
want to
can't
be
believe someone
clear.
called you a cult leader.
Several people did at the
Yeah.
same retreat.
Wow.
It was
Well,
an entity. It was an
yeah,
entity
that's
because
actually what I just saw was, yeah.
there
So,
was an entity getting into them and making them see me that way, because there are times where I leave a retreat and I think I can't wait to get home. I haven't slept in days. I've had people call me a cult leader. There were people crying. I feel like crying for days. I don't know what's happening. I just need to get home and ground and rest. That's what I
yeah.
need to do. I'm not leaving going, I'm a powerful shaman and I just helped. I'm leaving thinking, I just want to sleep. Nobody talk to me.
Yeah.
Right. There are things like that that I will go home and think, would the highest timeline healer version of me want to get away from this so badly? I don't often let myself be human, right? So when other
Mm-hmm.
people see a guy who is not heterosexual, who is not even fully a guy, sitting in a circle of all ladies, I get that if you see me as a straight man, that can look kind of strange. But I was just with all my girls because I am one in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
I have been
Mm-hmm.
my whole life. So that was so bizarre, the way that the th- you all could have found so many things that I was not doing in my integrity, like giving
Mm-hmm.
supplements to people to take during the medicine, but not always telling them what it is. I now tell everybody what it is ad nauseum until they're annoyed with me, right? Because someone
Mm-hmm.
brought that to my attention at one point, and I thought
Mm-hmm.
that's something I can refine. I cannot refine that I only attract mostly ladies. I cannot refine or change that most of the male clients I've had have been homophobic and do not like me in their space healing. I can't change certain things about humans and the way they. I can't change the fact that I am Caucasian in this lifetime and want to do work that you all think I'm not dark enough to do or
Yeah.
indigenous enough to do. I can't
Yeah.
change those things. So if I'm supposed to be Chiron and I'm supposed to be a triggerer and a matrix disruptor, wh- who would have thought that matrix disrupting and being a sacred triggerer would disrupt and trigger so many people,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But you also have a lot of people who are masquerading as a triggerer and a sacred, activator, and they're just out here abusing people and projecting all over people, right? So
Yeah.
I've
Yes.
also checked in with myself because I don't enjoy triggering people like some of these people
No.
do. I
No.
I hate it.
Yes.
That's something I want everyone to see me as Chiron. The part of my wound is how much I dislike certain aspects of this work, but those things will never ever make me stop.
Mm-hmm. I
Not
know
into you,
that
honey.
in my past, I've triggered a lot of people, especially that I worked with because I was in landscaping. So I worked with a lot of men. And at one point, I was working with a company, I was doing consulting work, and I was also doing operations. And I went out into the field, I was on site, and I walked up on someone that was already working on something, and I started to help them because they were alone. The group was over there blowing leaves, and then this guy was cutting vines that grew through a chain link fence. But he was not doing it very effectively. He was working really hard, but he wasn't doing the work very effectively. So he was cutting it at the bottom and then like pulling it all the way through. So like he's physically doing a lot of work that he didn't have to do. So then I showed him like, look, this chain link fence, it goes all the way up. Snip it several different spots and you just pull out the pieces. Like you don't have to like manhandle this and you can move a lot faster. You just cut, 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 and then pull all the pieces out. He, instead of saying thank you, instead of saying you're right, Instead of saying, I know that you've done this for 6 years and I'm just 21 years old and I've done this for 6 months and I don't know anything about anything. No, he didn't say that. He said, well, I really gave you a head start, didn't I? I was like, what the fuck? But,
Well,
you
and
know,
that's pure ego.
it's,
It's
and
all,
I've seen it so many times.
I
It's,
know,
and that's
I
just
know.
like one example out of like a
Yeah,
million. But
yeah.
it's like, yeah, I've recognized times where people were completely triggered because I was more efficient, more powerful, demanded more attention, whatever. It's the energy in the room. Sometimes it's women, sometimes it's men. Sometimes people think I'm flirting with them when I'm actually just being nice. And it's like a
Well,
whole,
we
it's a
have a lot
whole,
of Gemini
yeah,
FM3 in our
yeah,
chart, okay,
yeah,
which can be a little butterfly.
yeah. But I was thinking about that earlier today a few times, specifically with work, people that were kind of like competing with me, but there was no need for competition. I was trying to set them
I
up to
know.
succeed. And
That's
then they
what
were
happened.
like offended.
That's what happened with one of the clients who accused me of being a cult leader. Was I eventually found out was trying to take clients and also find where I was getting my medicine because she wanted to do what I was doing. Okay.
Oh,
And I have a program. I would have fully supported you had you said, "Hey, I want you to be my mentor." It was very strange how I was being called the cult leader, but she was behind my back doing all these strange things. So there, we're all human. We're all in
yeah.
survival mode. She feels like he figured it out. I'll just use his formula. Many
Mm-hmm.
people do that with manifestors and human design.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about that to shame that person because had there not been an entity involved, I think that was just a misunderstanding, and I feel badly that that happened because trauma can do that. And also, I'm a guy. I get that things can get weird, and that's why I do not host private retreats without a female facilitator anymore, even when I know the person. So there are things that I've been able to refine
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
learn from these experiences. And I wish that person the best because I love her so much. I love the
I hope
human.
that someday you guys figure it out. Maybe. I think
I
we
I am open
will.
if that's where my mission needs to go. I have no
Yeah.
desire to rekindle a relationship or anything like that, but I wish her the best, and I want everyone to know that 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 was helpful to me in many ways, although
Mm-hmm.
it was not meant to be. Okay, and also I believe this person who is also was inspired, let's just put it that way, by the way I did things or by doing this type of work. Okay. I was one of
Mm-hmm.
her first entry points into all of this. Okay. So I'm so happy to inspire, but it really hurts when the inspiration turns against you in such it would be different if they didn't like the way I said something, but to accuse me of being a cult leader, these were things that live in my energy field from my past lives and from this
Mm-hmm.
lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Sexual abuse, sexual trauma. I was sexually, let's just say, not abused, but sexually violated during a medicine journey many years ago. So for her to say that, I felt like it was the entity mocking
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
happened to me through her.
I
Because
think
I
that's
would
how they get you.
never,
I think
ever,
that's how
that
they get you.
is. And same
Yep.
with the cult leader is
Yep.
before those two people even came to that retreat and both called me a cult leader separately.
Mm.
And, which was so interesting. I had been working through a life where I had been a leader of a large group. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
found it to be reflective, but also it was triggering to me at the time because it was
Yeah.
so opposite of the way I actually operate. I feel like just because I'm an ego manifester with a lot of Leo in my chart and I come off like a cult leader, I guess, doesn't mean I actually want to disempower people or take their
No.
power away or that,
No.
or to put it in quotations, putting drugs in the hand soap. I've been accused of putting drugs in soap to do something I don't know what they thought I was doing, right? But I understand their fears and I held space for it. But I also, some of it just, I don't have time for these entities getting into people, and people can
Mm.
say, how dare you say that their legitimate trauma they experienced with you was an entity in them. I'm saying that's my perspective because I thought it was me. You think for those several years I didn't think it was me? I would ask spirit, why am I doing this if I'm hurting people? I'm just hurting people. I would forget all the people who told me that their life was changed. So if I go into this work wanting to do good and it's only going to traumatize people, don't you see the rabbit holes I went down for
Yeah.
months, right? And I had to come out of it going, oh, wait,
I
I
feel like,
went down that rabbit hole because I care so much.
yeah. And I think that that is on purpose. I think that in a way, from this is from my perspective, the way that I see it, it's like almost like a video, like Mario Brothers, when you like reach certain points and you catch a flag and like you can come back to that flag, it's almost like a point, but it's
Yeah.
also like oh goodness, where was it going with that? I saw it very clearly, but it's like you asked for that. Like you've been asked to be challenged so that you can be reinforced.
Yes.
So
That's what I alchemized it to do. And I know that that was ultimately what was always going to happen. But it
mhm.
did make me very angry knowing that something wanted to stop me or something was trying to get me to question myself, or
Yeah.
that just some people may have been jealous or envious or even just triggered because when you are the healer, especially as Chiron, I will embody certain personality traits around certain people and I won't know where they're coming from.
Hmm.
And I'm actually becoming their abusive mother. I'm not being
Yeah.
abusive. I'll say something that will remind them of them and I
Yeah.
won't even realize it.
Hmm.
And they won't even think this is triggering a mother wound. I don't like him. Get him away from me.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. It's
Because they can't handle
subconscious.
triggers and they
Hmm.
also
Hmm.
think he's doing it on purpose. And some of these people I wanted to be like, look, I love you all so much, but I'm not thinking about you that deep. I am at home working on my website and going out to the sacred site here in Shasta and meditating and playing with the dog. I do not have time to be siphoning your energy
Yeah.
or leading you into any kind of darkness or saying things to you that will not serve you, because if I have, I apologize, but that was not my intention. And I think that's what matters. Is I think we need to really understand that most of the people doing this work, even the person that accused me of that, who I believe is doing good work in the world. Okay, so
Hmm.
let's just hold that it was messy, that entities got involved, but if everyone is in their mission and doing the work, then we won, right? The way in which we didn't win was that it turned us against each other,
Hmm.
but also there are boundaries as humans that when we cross, we do have to honor these boundaries and set them. But also, I hold space for no matter whether it was an entity or whatever,
Yes.
that I am not perfect, you are not perfect. And so, most of the people out here who are healers are not trying to be a healer because they're perfect. They're a healer because they're wounded and they want to help other people not feel the way they have felt.
Yes.
Okay. So, it's going to
Yes.
get messy sometimes. And we honestly don't need any more healers who are versed in psychological language and say things the correct way. It's I do believe we need integrity, we need structures in place, but I also believe that much of the people out here who are triggering each other or these practitioners who are not in their power, that sort of thing, or they're saying things recklessly and not being mindful of other people's trauma, I believe some of them are triggering things that need to be triggered,
Hmm.
that need to come up to the surface. And so, even if it's happening in a messy way and it's not done with the political correctness of the psychological community or therapists and that sort of thing that comes through that college training, right?
Hmm.
I believe that's not always exactly the medicine that's needed. I believe there are
Yeah.
people out here who don't have any certifications, none. and they have incredible healing abilities. Just being in their energy field allows you to release energy. That is a
Mhm.
gift that should be paid for, that should be seen and
Mhm.
honored. And so I just want to say to people, I think most of us are actually, when I say in our integrity, wanting to be in our integrity at least, even if we're not fully. Because you have to
Yeah.
understand, most of the healers that you're interacting with, they have bills to pay. So when you say, "Do you think I should book a session with you?" It takes a lot out of me sometimes, because my first initial reaction is, "Yes, book. Duh, this is my business." But I
Mhm.
have to sit with, is this the right client? Is this correct for them? Is this the direction we want to go in, especially with retreats and things like that?
Mhm.
Be- That isn't just open to the public. There's a whole process I go through around it because I learned the hard way. Okay. Just letting anyone in. But that's what happens when you're in survival. That's what happens when I went out on my own and no one was paying me and I wanted to keep doing this. We're all doing our best, deprogramming from mind control, deprogramming from this capitalistic structure that's not being used to serve us. Okay, capitalism can be
Mhm.
neutral, but it is not being used to serve us. We're tapping out of so many things. Can we give each other grace that we've got some entities on us that we
Mhm.
got easily siphoned, that we didn't, that we were using false light symbols, that we gave supplements to people but didn't tell them exactly what each supplement was because most people didn't care until you came along. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's,
Mhm.
can we keep helping each other get better rather than saying, "Christine, that Chrys Kyng guy, he has an entity on him. You need to stay away from him."
Yeah. Which is a quote that I heard from someone. This is a
Who
PSA.
doesn't even know me.
Yeah.
She doesn't know me.
Doesn't even know you.
That means that she went into my energy field looking for an entity without my permission.
Yo, she did it to me too. This is a PSA for anyone out there. There is a woman, and she thinks she knows better than almost anyone. She,
Well, and maybe she does, and we just haven't caught up with her yet.
maybe, could
But
be.
what I want to say, my camera's going to go off, by the way, only because my phone is, or the camera's getting so hot.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
here, even though I've gone into the abyss. Um, but I want to say about that person is
Yes.
that it would have been really nice. I would have really appreciated it had she seen a reptilian or a demonic entity or an archon or something like that, or a disincarnate being who was using me to eat sugar. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or smoke some kind of drugs that I don't smoke. So I just want to say it would have been very kind of her to say to you, "Will you give him my number, or
Yeah, right.
will you refer him to someone to help him?"
Right. Right. No, it was a problem. And I know that she like looked down on me because I had an entity attachment through marriage. But this is part of my life path. This is part of why I came, and it's very complicated. It also involves my children. So it's,
Also, can we just mention that entities can be positive too?
oh yeah.
Archangel
In
Michael is an entity. Your
oh
grandmother
yes.
in spirit is an entity.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what if she did see an entity, but it wasn't dark, right? Or
Yeah.
what if she's infiltrated, and so now her lens is only sees divine light guides as dark energies. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying
Yeah.
I could say that if she can so freely say I have an entity, I can so freely say that she has an entity that makes her see good entities as bad ones. Come
Yeah.
on, you all.
Yeah. I mean, sh it was very interesting because I had a client and her daughter was like 11 or 12, and her knees were deteriorating. Like the meniscus, the cartilage in her knees was like really deteriorated, especially very strange for a young child. And so I was like, this is definitely energetic. And when I tried to look into it, there was an entity. But like I said earlier, I have an entity attachment. And a lot of times it keeps me, if they're on a similar vibration, it keeps me from being able to actually see it. Sometimes I can see them, sometimes I can't. But do feel when they're there. And I ask questions, and sometimes I get a response, and that's how I know that they're there too. But
Yeah.
I feel them, but I don't always see them because I have a filter on mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I am aware of that. So I know how to, do stuff. So then I tried to refer my client to this woman marketing herself, saying that she is a specialist in removing entities that are attached to narcissistic people, and that she has really a lot of experience and is an expert at detaching these highly complex attachments. So I try to refer my client to her. And the response that I received back was, every time you reach out to me, I get psychically attacked. I think you understand that I need to cut you off. Um, and it was just also really interesting to me because she always touted her protective bubble building, like her
Right.
shielding
Right.
practices.
Right.
Um,
Which
so
I don't shield.
yeah, I
Just
know.
just to tell people, I don't shield. I amplify. I push my energy out. I
Yeah,
welcome these entities in like a moth to a flame. Come into the light. I know that there's organic light running through me, and there has been false light, I'm sure. I've
hmm
been in the false matrix. So
hmm
and we're all working our way through this, and what she might see dark might not actually be, right? Maybe,
yeah,
like I've had clients in my medicine journey see demonic faces many, many, many times. Maybe they were demons they were
yeah,
seeing. Maybe they were just expressions
yeah,
of their consciousness, and it was tongues and teeth, and the next one was butterflies and rainbows.
yeah.
It's just duality. It's part of our psyche.
I
All of
know
these
my
things to
daughter
connect.
was afraid of, I called in Our Lady of Guadalupe to sit with her and protect her
Uh-huh.
overnight. And she woke up after I left the space and said that there was a large person with no arms and a big head that was separate, sitting on the couch, and it was just a shadow. And I was like, that was Our Lady of Guadalupe. Like, look at the outline of her. Like, that was her. You don't have to be afraid of her. And she's like, oh, well, it was a shadow. It was dark. So I thought it was bad. And I was like, no, that just because it's a shadow doesn't mean it's bad.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And a lot of these entities could move into the light by attaching to
Yeah.
us if we
Yes.
alchemize it and don't embed more fear. They're feeding off the fear. They're made of fear. They're made of those lower vibrating. They feed off of those lower vibrating emotions.
Hmm.
So it's a tricky place to be, because basically what we're saying is we welcome the dark entities. Come on in. But what I'm not saying is come on in and infiltrate me and get me to do your dark bidding. If that's what people think is happening,
Yeah.
can we just be curious? Can we be curious about what the entity wants, why it exists, why it's attaching? Can
Yeah.
we show it love and compassion? And can we forgive it? Can we understand that it belongs in the false
Hmm.
matrix, or it belongs in duality? That in duality, angels and demons must exist because that's how duality works. So
And recognizing that if you have any type of attachment with a certain entity of low vibration, the only way that that is possible is because it resonates with something in you.
beautiful. Yes,
I mean, it wouldn't be if that wasn't the case. So, yeah,
I'm back.
you're back. Well, I will say this has been a lovely conversation, and I
Yeah.
feel like you and I could talk about so many different things forever. Thank you so much, Chrys, for this conversation today. It really was wonderful, and I appreciate having such authentic, open, dynamic conversation for us to expand our consciousness.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for having me here. Thank you all for witnessing us as um, people who are stepping into these roles and doing the best that we can. And if anyone has any questions for me, or uh, feels called to connect with me, you can go to chriskyng.com, or medicinealchemist.com, or ascended-astrology.com. Those are my three main places that you can find me, or you can follow me on social media, that sort of thing, and just tap into my energy a little bit. And I would love to support anyone who feels called or point you in the right direction. And I just appreciate this opportunity to share and be open and real and have a conversation that not many people are willing to have.
Thank you so much. It was
Thank you.
wonderful. We'll talk again soon. Until next time, take care. As we close out this conversation with Chrys Kyng, I want to leave you with this reminder. Healing isn't about getting it right or reaching some final destination. It's about staying in relationship with your own truth as it evolves. If something in this episode stirred reflection, discomfort, clarity, or curiosity, I invite you to sit with that. You do not need to rush to label it or resolve it. Discernment, sovereignty, and integrity are practices that we return to again and again. If you would like to connect further, you can find Chrys Kyng on Instagram at Chrys Kyng or ascended_astrology or the.medicine.alchemist or chryskyng.com to explore his work more deeply. You can connect with me on Instagram at Hyacinth Healing or through my link tree. You'll find all of our links in the show notes. Thank you for spending your time and energy here with us. I hope to see you in the next episode. And if you haven't already, please do. Rate, share, subscribe, all the things. Show me some love. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time.